Well, good morning. Welcome to today's webinar, introducing Genoa, a gem of opportunities from past to future is how we've titled the presentation today. And I'm really glad to welcome Francesca Boschieri, journalist at Il Giornale, and Luca Bellatrimio, Chief Data Center Officer, I can't even say the words today, at Ryway SBA. Really, a big welcome to you both. You'll probably know me. I'm Mike Wardle. I'm the Chief Executive Officer, Head of Indices at the ZN Group, and I'll be chairing the event today. But my job is really to take a very little time to do that, so we can get on to the meat of the presentation. Just first of all, to thank our sponsors. We're very grateful to our sponsors at the FS Club for allowing us to range far and wide across a series of webinars that we run, including this series we run focusing on financial and commercial centres across the world, but really a round of thanks for our sponsors. The format today is very simple. As I said, after my very brief introduction, I'll get out of the way and leave the floor to our keynote speakers. But just some housekeeping before we kick off. First of all, the session's being recorded so that if you want to go back and watch it again, or if you have friends and colleagues who you think might be interested, the recording will be posted on our website probably within a couple of days. So that'll be available for you to go back and rewatch if you wish to. Secondly, you can ask questions at any point during the presentation, and I will collate those during the Q&A session towards the end after our presentation. If you haven't used GoToWebinar before, the way to ask a question is to find the question tab on your dashboard, and you type in a question. That'll be come to me, and I'll be able to feed those in to Francesca and Luca when we get to the Q&A session. We will pass on details of those who ask questions to Francesca and Luca in case there's any need for follow-up or further interaction. So please keep your questions coming during the presentation. We'd be delighted to field them when we get there. So we're going to move on now to our presentations. Despite the order shown on this slide, actually Francesca is going to present first, followed by Luca. And so, Francesca, I'd like to invite you to take the floor and talk a little bit about Genova and its past and potentially the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Buongiorno from Genova. I am really pleased to take part of this webinar about my city and present my city. Actually, I want to start with Genova la Superba. So the name is not modest, it means it's superb. And it's not modest because Genova rules the Mediterranean Sea, was a republic, a marine republic, a Repubblica Marinara, so was free until arrived Napoleon. But you have to think that the name Genoa is connected with Janus from the god on the Roman time, but actually it's connected also with Janua, and that's why I put these beautiful images of one of the gates, one of the oldest gates of the city, which is called Porta Soprana. As you can see, was stunning and was in fact like the New York of the medieval time. So it's one of the characteristics of the city is actually the very tall houses. It's an harbour, as London is. So all the goods are coming here. It's a tapilo run of all the goods for the Silk Road finish here. So 7,000 kilometers arrive in Genova and Venice, but we don't mention Venice now, which was the other Mariner Republic. So, and funny to say, also arrived cotton from Egypt that we put with Indacus, we color with Indacus in blue, and so we call Tela di Genova, that is in French toile de Gênes, that you pronounce jean. So the jeans is actually from Genova. This is the fun fact, but it's very important still now. And here you have a wonderful telero of Renaissance time, because we wear in jeans since medieval Renaissance time, and also we paint on jeans. And here is the Passion of Christ on jeans. This is the symbol of the city, together with La Lanterna, the oldest, lighthouse in the world. But this is one of the oldest public bank in the world, and is Banco di San Giorgio, that was created by a French, actually, by Bossicole in 1407, but was closed down by another French, so by Napoleon, but actually was even before. So it's the idea of creating shares, the loca, and to be like the central bank was a Genovese idea. And the first insurance, also, if insurance was born already in Roman time, but the first written insurance is actually in Genova. And of course, you can imagine how much were the connection with the Lloyds after in the 19th centuries. We have 42 beautiful palaces, because of course Genova became the capital of the Mediterranean. This is one when Dickens lived, is Villa Pallavicino delle Peschiere, so please, is under UNESCO. And of course you settled down, especially in the 19th centuries. There was 20,000 English residents here. We are not on the Grand Tour mainly, but we have a strong presence of the English in Genova, and actually also in the Italian Riviera, especially in Bordighera. And here you have one of these beautiful villas. This was Castello Mackenzie, and one of the more than 100 villas that I just checked in a book with Alessandro Bartoli about the British presence in Genova and the Riviera. You live also, you really shape us. So you live wonderful gardens. I know that where is in English, there is a garden or inside or outside, but here you have the botanical garden in Genova, L'Orto Botanico, that was, the founder was Bath with Smithson, and also Thomas Hanbury. And Thomas Hanbury also leave this beautiful garden, one of the best botanical garden of all Italy, in Ventimiglia, La Mortola, Giardini, appunto Hanbury Garden. I'm proud to say that I'm the president of the Amici, which is an Anglo-English, an Anglo-Italian society. So I really invite you to come and see these beautiful gardens. Important figure, of course, come to Genova, like Byron. I want to recall, because next year will be the celebration of his death in Greece. And the last place, of course, before Greece was Genova. I stay here 9 months. This is the last actually sketch about him. We have also the Christmas Carol of Charles Dickens that he read here in Genova for the first time, H.D. Lawrence with Frida. And apart of this great, friendship also with a very important figure of literature, we have also, you shape us also in the sport, because before we just eat our wonderful pasta with pesto, and you arrive and you created the first rowing, the first sport in tennis, especially. This is a watercolor. It's fascinating, signed by Gisela Merello, and is the same date of Wimbledon. So the first English tennis in Italy was opened the first in 1887, I think, but in any case, the same date of Wimbledon. And then we have the first Genoa and Cricket Club, which is the first football club of Italy, which is my club, and you can see the griffon and the color of Queen Victoria. And nevertheless, we have the same saint and the same flag. I have to say we have more than one saint. We don't have only San Giorgio as a patron saint. We have also San Lorenzo, Santa Caterina, and we have San Bernardo and San Giovanni. So we devote the cities to the Virgin Mary. So to be honest with you, we are a little bit more protected than you, but we have the same flag, as you can see, with actually the griffon as well. And it's very interesting because we don't know how this happens. A story recalled that Richard Lionheart arrived in Genova and you know, take ships to for the crusade to Jerusalem. And so he rented the flag. I'm not sure on that because we need to dig out much more, because I think it's not true was Acinelli saying that. So, but in the end, what I want to say with all this little presentation, that we have 1,000 years in common of friendship, of shared history, and I think that is always the best frame to do business, when you trust each other and we have this compulsory attraction, as I call. And so I give to Luca Beltramino I pass to Luca Beltramino you know, the stage to present you the future, but the future is only the future if there is a past. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, thank you very much for having me today. And I'm very happy to be here. Unfortunately, I'll be speaking about something different than Francesca, and you know, something a little bit colder than Francesca. So today I wanted to just introduce a little bit the group of ambassadors of Genoa in the world. It's a group of more than 170 people. They are from Genoa, and they have achieved big success in their activities. We also have the mandate of the mayor of Genoa, Mr. Marco Bucci, to represent the city and attract investment. So we have a diverse range of industries, including shipping, manufacturing, finance, and tourism. And you know, we have a 7.5 billion investment planned in infrastructure. So it's a very large investment that we have planned in the infrastructure. This will include transport networks, port logistics, shipping, and urban development. As you can see in this slide, you know, we have this beautiful view of the waterfront, has in the way was reimagined by our international architect, Mr. Renzo Piano, who's a guy from Genoa. So we are very proud of this waterfront. Many times we have heard people and, you know, politicians talking about creating a, let's say, a greater city area consisting of the three very large cities, Italian cities, Genoa, Milan, and Turin. This could potentially have a significant economic impact. So this is very important for the city because, first of all, it is going to make the second largest GDP in the Eurozone. And also, for the second reason would be that we could set a target in the future to be even, you know, the first largest Eurozone regional GDP, again, for the future. So again, let me stress this one again. Again, you know, Genoa is really an important economic hub in Italy. The industrial sector is very large. It includes shipping, high-tech manufacturing, finance, and obviously, as you would think, tourism is very important too. The city has, as you probably know, a strategic location on the Mediterranean Sea, and it makes a significant port of trade and commerce. So for these reasons, Genoa is really able, we are convinced, I mean, the ambassador of Genoa in particular are convinced that Genoa can attract businesses, contributes to the economic growth, and create investment opportunity. So, of course, I'm, as you know, I'm the ambassador of Genoa in the world, which is which has the mandate for high-tech and I can talk about high-tech, and high-tech is an industry that counts several multinational companies. They work together in the field of energy, automation, transport, and infrastructure. They employ over 15,000 workers. So it's a big presence that we have, especially in the fields of electronics, robotics, and biotechnologies. So just to name a few, for example, we have the Italian Institute of Technology, we have Leonardo, we have Ansaldo, we have Hitachi Rail, to mention a very international company, Hitachi Rail, we have Ilex, we have Danieli and Axpo. But it's important to say we have IREN, which is a local multi-utility company of which the municipality of Genoa owns a major stake. IREN is very important for the city right now, and for high-tech in particular, and for energy as well, because it's investing lots of money lately in the so-called energy communities, which are become a very important theme in Italy, energy communities. We have another very important power company called Duferco, which is actually investing lots of money in electric mobility. So electric mobility is another very important theme that we are following up at the moment. Then in terms of technical institutes and development of technology, we have also many institutes of the CNR, which for us is the famous National Research Council. And for example, we have intelligent systems for automation, energy, engineering, and telecommunication. So as you probably know, most of the Genoa GDP is it's covered by its port logistics. We think about 60%. Therefore, I really think that high-tech applied to port logistics is becoming really a major effort of the city. Of course, we have a university, and our university is, I can say, a national excellence and an important research center. Imagine we have about 3,000 researchers that are working in the University of Genoa. Innovative enterprises are created every year. We have about 200 registered startups today. I guess that during the next years, Genoa will become stronger with its technological sector. And the focus will be, I guess, more on data, energy, biomedical, mechanical, and obviously also robotic. In particular, we are also committing to innovation with the Erzelli Science and Technological Park. The Erzelli Science and Technological Park is a hub for companies, academics, and it also involves research centers, and it is designed with a cutting-edge technology. We can find here some very large organizations, very large companies, and very international companies as well, like Siemens, Ericsson, but also very important local companies like Liguria Digitale, Talent Garden, and IIT. In the future, we will have here the Polytechnic School of the University of Genoa. So Genoa is becoming even larger and even more important with the Erzelli. And a private hospital for health and research will be here as well. We have also an organization which is called RoboIT, which is the first national center for robotic technology transfer. It will be built near, the new San Giorgio Bridge, and I guess that national robotics experts and really all the innovative robotic startups will work together here. So it will be a very important point of aggregation for technology and robotics for the city. It will be definitely helped by university and venture capitals. We understood in Italy, we have discovered not a long time ago that the relationship between university and startups and venture capitals is very important to develop the market and the startups environment. So we estimate here an investment of about 100 million in about 4 years for the creation and development of 50 new companies. This is what we are expecting. We have developed also a very interesting concept related to the sea economy, which is called the blue economy. And imagine, you know, the blue economy is very important for us because it represents 9.1% of the regional GDP, not the city GDP, but really the regional, the Liguria region GDP. It has 156 companies operating in the blue economy fields, and these companies are making a turnover of 13 billion, per year. So you can imagine this is a very important factor for the productive system of the region and Liguria. Some of the technologies that are developed here are aquaculture, fisheries, and biotechnologies. But of course, this investment is also very much related and will attract tourism, coastal tourism and cruises, transport, therefore transport ports, development of the port, and renewable energy. So it's very important for the, of course, for the region, and for the blue economy, sustainability is the main target. And as you know, lately we have been hearing plenty of times the word sustainability and the importance that sustainability is have related to the economy and the development of the economy. There are in Genoa, we are also organizing very important events related to the economy of the sea, and it's worth mentioning the Genoa Boat Show, which is not to be missed. So for everybody who's listening to me today, come to Genoa at the Genoa Boat Show. It attracts every year hundreds of exhibitors and thousands of visitors. So if I'm reading, when I read the Ernst & Young Digital Infrastructure Index lately, I discovered that Ernst & Young is saying that Genoa is the first Italian city for digital infrastructure. So I'm very proud of this because, of course, me being the person in charge for the ambassador of Genoa in the world for high-tech, you can understand I'm very proud. So this will grow, I guess, this will grow very strongly, of course, with the arrival of 4 large-scale submarine cables that you can see in this slide here now. As you can see, 4 cables that are, starting from Southeast Asia, India, and even one of them is, going all through the whole way through India and coming to Genoa. So I guess this will really transform the city. I guess it will become the new digital European and Mediterranean gateway, and it will be a strategic hub in the global map of submarine cables. Of course, I'm talking about the city of Genoa, and this obviously will provide for Genoa and for the region and for local business definitely a competitive advantage. And I guess it might be leading to the creation of skilled jobs, and it will contribute definitely to the creation of a digital community and ecosystem in the city of Genoa. So I'm very proud to have been made, by the mayor of Genoa, president of the GEDIX, the Genova Data and Internet Exchange. GEDIX is really a project from the ambassadors of Genoa in the world. So on the right side of the slides, you can see, here you can see the 20 largest internet exchanges in the world. And as you can see, at least 10 of them are in Europe. So Europe is becoming very important in terms of the traffic of data. And on the left side, you see the map of the European internet exchange points. And as you can see, all most important European cities have an internet exchange point. So I'm very proud to say today that even Genoa has an internet exchange. And again, I'm very proud to say that because, of course, this will be very important. especially for the landing of the international submarine cables in Genoa and Savona, that we will be able to intercept with the internet exchange. And we will be facing a fantastic opportunity, both in terms of social development for Genoa and for the region. So the strategic choice is really for us to intercept the local internet traffic that in the past would normally proceed and go to Milan, Amsterdam, London, and the rest of the world without, enable Genoa to get the advantage of that traffic. In fact, about 10 years ago, I was lucky enough to listen to an interview from the mayor of the city of Amsterdam. And, Amsterdam at that time, about 10 years ago, was really experiencing a very large success. It was growing and booming very fast. So the mayor was asked by the journalist, why the city is growing so much. And the mayor, in a really short sentence, the way only Dutch people can be so short when they are answering to the questions, but very, straight to the point. He said three factors. The first one is the port of Amsterdam, that, together with the port of Rotterdam, makes definitely the first largest European port by volume of goods, and also one of the largest ports in the world. Second factor, he mentioned the Amsterdam airport, the airport of Schiphol, which is an important global air traffic hub. And then, surprise, surprise, other third factor, he mentioned AM6, the Amsterdam Internet Exchange, underlying the important function of the international data traffic. So what we are trying to do, similarly to what happened to Amsterdam, what we are trying to do in Genoa is really creating an important international hub for people, goods, and data at the same time. I'm really convinced that if you are the hub, the international hub for people, goods, and data at the same time, you can become really powerful commercially and economically. The second ambassador of Genoa in the world project I want to talk about today, I'm very proud of, is the Energy and Data Valley. Energy and Data Valley is a very innovative project that see the cooperation between 7 energy companies. And you know how difficult it is when you have very large, companies, having them work together. So with the ambassador of Genoa, we managed to do that. And these companies are all working together, sharing some objectives in the energy sector. First of all, they are sharing research and development, training, and strategic marketing. Our members are Ansaldo, and our members are all interested and working on different targets. So they will bring a lot of important matters on the table. Ansaldo is working on new generation plants. ERG is working on managing renewables. Enel is working on the electrification of the distribution networks. Duferco is developing e-mobility solutions. IREN is working on urban development, energy efficiency, and smart homes. And then we also have Telecom Italia, the very famous incumbent telco provider, national incumbent telco provider, that is defining the role of big data and security in energy transition. So all together, these people are working on a white paper. It will be the first project that they do. It's a fantastic white paper. And they're talking about the application of predictive analysis of data and energy and production and consumption and this will be applicable to port logistics. And as you know, as I said, 60% of the Genoese economy is based on port logistics. So this project for us is going to be very important. So this is the challenge for the Energy and Data Valley project, is making Genoa the capital city of high-tech and energy transition. And this concludes my presentation for today. Thank you very much for your attention.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Luca. And we now have some time for questions, comments, and answers from the audience. And I guess the first question I'd like to ask is, it's kind of a view that European technology and high tech is not quite as advanced as perhaps it is in Silicon Valley or in some parts of Asia. What do you think we collectively as European sort of tech people need to do to give more attention to high tech and to make it thrive?
Some years ago, I analyzed at the university. Actually, I was very lucky to be able to analyze the difference between the tiger of Asia, so the economy of Asia and the Pacific Rim, and Europe and the rest of, let's say, the more mature countries. And what I noticed is that the most important differentiator was really the link between universities, startups, technologies, and the enterprise world. This was really missing, especially in Southern Europe. For example, our universities were taking decision that was totally separated from the enterprise world and the economy. So I guess that the tiger were running very fast because of that reason, because they were talking, and it can sound very simple, in fact, and very straightforward, but it is not. It is not easy. So what we are trying to do, for example, with the ambassadors of Genoa in the world, is really putting together and connect, universities with the enterprise, and especially with the startups and the economy of enterprises. So that's a very important point. I don't see a lot of difference anymore. As I said, in Genoa, for example, you can see 190, 200 startups, and I think we learned the lesson, and I think that we learned the lesson very quickly, and we are really able now to compete. And of course, as we pointed out in our presentation, we have creativity on our side. Especially Southern European people are very creative, and we can use that as a potential to really create value margins and value added for our economical sector.
Thank you. And I think the same happens in London. You see the increasing links between the university sector and the business sector is very important. But also, of course, access to finance. You mentioned in your presentation that actually having access to startup finance and scale-up finance is also very important, I think, to building a high-tech economy. We've got a question here from Lucy Maria Wittek in the audience, who says it's a pleasure to be here. But the company that she's representing today, called European Diplomats, is building a future of education consortium, which they expect to reach Italy as well. But how would you judge the appetite for innovation in Italy, particularly in education, but as well more generally? What's the attitude towards innovation in Italy?
Well, I guess that even from the presentation from Francesca, you see, we sometimes even with the contribution from the British people, but sometimes also from our creativity, we can really develop new things, and we can really develop technology and as a form of art, as a form of creativity. I guess that really it's really important to work together with the universities and with all schools that can be involved in the process of building that innovation. I think that globalization is really. I agree with you. I agree with you when you say that finance is really a weak point for Southern Europe, for Europe, especially if you compare it with the United States and Asia. So, but I guess that globalization and really the fast speed of data exchange can really help that project, that process. I think in Europe nowadays we have access to all the novelties and all the innovation much more easier than before, and we can develop on that, adding our creativity. So I think that's very important. And also, especially in Southern Europe and in Italy, especially, we have precision. People don't know that we are very good at precision mechanics and building precision tools and building and we are actually exporting those tools. So we can really work also on that aspect. We can really work on details and be precise. We are not really good because we don't have the same population as China or Eastern Asia on the mass production, but we could really work on the details and mechanical innovation. So that's also another point that we could work on here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Fantastic.
Mike, if I say something talking about high speed, which is just to say that Genova is linking now with Milan in a very fast way. That will create also a very important occasion to share, and especially the life in Genoa is much better than in Milan. I have to say, we are on the sea, as you see, the beautiful villas and so on. So we expect a massive exchange especially because in Italy there is a problem for the student to find home, and Genoa in this way is very cheap to find a home for the students. So we expect to improve our population with a lot of students from Milan and from all over the world, of course, from England in this exchange between the two cities. As you know, as ambassador in my capacity and with the St. George Club, we managed to write a memorandum of intent between City of Genova and City of London. So in 2023 and 2024, we will be able to link much more our two cities, and with scholarship and with a big concert in the end of 2024 that I don't tell anything about, but will be a very important concert because Paganini was in London, of course, and as well of many important Genovese figure. I just want to recall Orazio Pallavicino, that was the banker of Elizabeth I. So, as we told, is a long friendship share. So we are a welcome city. I think, especially with the English community, we really always be in touch. And so it's very easy for us to tell our city is a little bit also your city.
Thank you very much.
Quality of life is very important. I think quality of life is becoming more and more important. Many people from Milan are thinking that as soon as we will have, as Francesca was saying, a fast link between the two cities, they will move. I will be the first one to come back to Genoa. I live in Milan at the moment, unfortunately. I will be the first one to come back and live in Genoa because, the quality of life is much better. Even students are lately, I guess after COVID, everybody, even the students, are looking for a good quality of life, and not only, work. So that's very important as well. And this is something that we can offer.
Thank you very much. I've got a question from Malcolm Farrow. He said, looking at the undersea cable networks, he agrees it's very impressive, but of course that also leaves some threats. They're open to potential sabotage and manipulation by hostile governments or bad actors. How are they protected, or what needs to happen to minimize that threat?
Of course, undersea cables are protected by all by the organizations that are running them, and of course that are first of all by building trenches and all the technical system that is really first of all they are dig very down in the submarine sea, very down in the sea. So I think they're not very easy to be attacked, and normally they are built with a very strong infrastructure. And normally, the most important thing is redundancy, because we can really afford to have those cables cut, because the internet is following so many different routes and they are self adjusted, and they are self how can I say self correcting themselves so that the traffic will always get to the point, and then we will have the time to repair. And normally the advantage of the undersea cables is really that it's much more cheaper and much more easier to repair them than the land, than the cable, the inland cables. The cables, because of course land brings more complexity in terms of digging and adjusting the cables. The cables are easier to adjust, and this is why 90% of the international data traffic is nowadays running on undersea. So undersea cables represent 90% of the global internet traffic.
Thank you very much. Douglas Andrews has asked a relatively detailed question, but he's asking how many established venture capital firms are currently supporting startups and scale-ups in Italy, in general, and Genoa in particular, and how much venture capital has been invested in Italian startups in recent years.
It's normally, if you check the figure, it's much less than the UK. It's even less than Switzerland. It's the amount of money. It's very small for startups in general. But then what we can see is nowadays what we see is enterprises that are helping those startups, especially if they believe in a concept or in an idea. Enterprises are really replacing the function of the venture capitals, and replacing them by talking to the startup and saying, okay, if you work on that particular idea, we can really sponsor you and invest the money. So what we see, even in Genoa, what we see is really that. So the startup companies are talking to the enterprise sector. They're working together, developing models that the enterprise sector itself doesn't really have the time or the human resources to do, and we do that. If you check the amount of money that the Italian enterprises have for development and developing the intelligence and develop project, is much less than other countries. So startups can really come up and really replace what we are not doing at the enterprise level, I think.
Thank you very much. We've got a couple of minutes left. Francesca, Doug Barrow in the audience has asked whether you could expand on how the cities of London and Genoa are trying to build bridges. You've mentioned the memorandum of understanding that was being signed, but would you like to say a bit more about
Yes, I want to thank Doug Barrow, because actually it was pivotal to reach this understanding and to write it down, the memorandum with the St. George Club, which is a group that tried to reach actually this partnership between the two cities in a kind of Dickens way, but actually to enlighten this friendship and this very similar way of life and understanding. We are very much the same. We have the same understatement, the same and all this story together. So we actually pointed out 3 bigger fields where we can collaborate with our shipping, education and community. I want to say that 42 architects for delivery of the architects came to visit us and were really thrilled to see the city, because the city is not only the biggest medieval center, but also has different contemporary parts. As Luca recall, we have Renzo Piano, the bridge that we put. Renzo Piano did it, and so started with really the good first step with the architect, and we want to expect much more on this. Our mayor will be in London at the 9 and the 10 of November for the major show. We will take part of the major show. You will see, we will be our chariot there. So we're really pleased, and thanks Doug again for all his support. That was vital.
Well, thank you very much. I'm afraid we have run out of time. I'm sure we could have carried on the conversation much longer, but we're out of time. So to finish off very briefly, a round of thanks. I mentioned our sponsors earlier. Again, to thank them for their continued support. It is so welcome. We have some events coming up you might be interested in. Tomorrow, how to own, develop and execute your own strategy. Next week, a session on why the UK needs a written constitution, and next Wednesday, crises in the making. So a varied menu of subjects for your delectation. But it just remains for me to thank Francesca and Luca. It's been fabulous to have you with us today. Thank you so much. Normally I'd be able to offer you a large round of applause, but on a webinar we simply have to offer our thanks, and we hope to meet you again, whether in London or in Geneva. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We're waiting for you in Geneva, of course, and to see you in London. Bye.